Hi everyone, welcome back to the AI ML roadmap series, and currently we are discussing Python fundamentals. And till now I think we have covered a lot of base. We have understood what is Python and why we are using Python. We have seen how to install Python and everything, and we have also learned about the variables, data types, and we have seen three data types, which were numbers, booleans, strings, and floats, right? After that we have learned about Python operators, that we have different type of operators in their logical assignment and bitwise operators, comparison operators, logical operators, right? After that we have learned about something called data collections. We have talked about lists, tuples, sets, frozen sets, and dictionaries. After that we have talked about how to take input from the user, and we have talked about if else and the loops. And in the last session we have covered Python functions. Then we talked about how to create lambda, decorators, generators, and one more thing I think we have covered, which was recursions, right? So if you are following till here, so you have, like, you must have at least an understanding what is Python and what we are trying to do with it, right? Now we'll cover some more topics, and after that we'll start with some projects to actually see how we are using this Python language in our daily to daily work, right? So today we'll be starting with something called Python iterators, right? So till now we have talked about something called lists, sorry, something called list, dictionaries, or sets, for example, or our tuples, or for example strings, right? So what are these are all an example of iterators, right? Because we can loop through them. So if there is something we can loop through, are called iterators. Okay, so what are iterators? So iterator is an object that contains a countable number of values. An iterator is an object that can be iterated upon, meaning that you can traverse through it or you can loop through it, right? uh yeah. Okay, so in Python, technically in Python, an iterator is an object which implements the iterator protocol, which consists of two methods, iter and next. For example, for list, for these data type and data collection, so every iterator, they have two methods attached to them. So first is a iter method and second is a next method. So what iter do, it will iterate, right? And what next will do, it will move to the next element. So let's see how it works. Okay, so for example, let me just create yeah, let's take this example, fruit. So this is a tuple, right? So let me just quickly print it. Print fruits, comma, let also check the type. Okay, so it should be okay. Okay, so I have defined a tuple, and then I'm just printing the tuple and its type. So when I run it, it will show me the tuple and the class of the tuple. Now let's see how we can create an iterator, like how we can use these two methods, like iter and next. So instead of doing a loop, so there are two ways, okay, we can do it. For example, I could do something like for fruit in fruits, and I could just simply run it, right? So when I run this, I can iterate through it basically, right? I can loop through it and I can print my item one by one. Now what if, how should I use these two iterators, right? How we can do it is, we can just simply mention that my iterator, just create an object, my iterator equals to, I'll just simply mention something like this, iter equals to fruits. Okay, so let's quickly print it. Let's see what happens if I just check this, and I'll check the type of it. let's do that. Okay, so once I do this, you will see something like that it has become a tuple iterator, right? है ना? And now if I do something called next iterator, next iterator, next iterator, so what it should print, it should start printing me the values. Okay, let's quickly verify it. So apple, kiwi and banana. Okay, so it will start from 0. So when I did my first next, it will print me apple and so on, right? Now let's try something else. So let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So let me run it. So it will print me all the elements now, right? Now if I try to print this one more time for the 8th time, and my tuple only had 7 elements, right? So let's see what happens if I try to run it. You see, it will throw a stop iteration error because it only contains 7 elements and I have tried to print one more, right? So which is incorrect. Okay, second we have talked about right, so this is how the iterators work. Okay, so we have seen how we can loop through using a for loop. We have seen how we can create our own iterator. Okay, next let's see how we can create, okay, how we can do that. So we have understood that for creating an iterator I need two methods, which is iter and next. So let's try to create our own iterator. Okay, so iterator for factorial. So let's see, instead of creating the iterator factorial, let's create, so for factorial it's a little bit, we need some more concepts. So let's, instead of creating factorial, let's create an iterator uh, for increasing a number, right? Or for a table of 2. Okay, so we'll, so how we'll do, we'll create an iterator that will start from 2. Okay, then for each next it should give me a table of 2. Okay, so for example, for 2 4 6 8, sorry, 8 10, something like this. Okay, now let's do it. So I'll create something like this, my number, for example. Don't worry what is it, just for now understand. So whatever we have defined inside a class keyword, it's an encapsulation. Okay, so whatever methods I'm going to create inside it, they will be only work on this particular variable. Okay, right? So I need to create, so what I understood, that I need to create two methods. One is iter, right, and second we need to create a next, right? Okay, so this is something I need to create, right? Now what to mention, so for each iter I should start with 2, right, and it should just return. Now for or next, what I want is, I want to increase the value by 2, right? So 2 4 6 8 10, right? So this is how I can create an iter. Now how to call it, so I could just simply mention my class equals to my numbers. Okay, how you are doing the typecasting, right? So I've just call it. Now if I, let me just quickly see, let's just quickly print it. If I do something like this, do something like this, let's see what happens. So it should print me the type as the my number, right, because this is the type, है ना, and the my class is an object, right? So we'll talk about what is an object and everything, but for now just try to understand the concept behind it. Okay, to make an iterator we need to define two methods, iter and next. Okay, that's what we did. Now let's make this an iter. So how we can do it, so my iter, है ना, equals to, we'll just make it an iter, right? And if I do this, it should print me 2. Make sense? Makes sense. I have tried to print my iter, which is an object, right? Works good. Okay, now I'll try to print it again. It will work. Now again, it will work. Now let's say again. So no matter how many time I print next, it will keep printing me. But what if I just want to print it till 10? Will it work? Let's see what it will do. It will just keep printing. But what if I want to stop at 10? I just want to print till 10. So how we can do it is we have something called stop iteration. Okay, so what it does, it stop your iteration to go on forever. Okay, so how we can use it? So we can just quickly modify our next method. Okay, we can quickly modify our next method to mention that if this self dot a becomes less or equals to 10, then you should just stop it. Okay, you just do this. Okay, now if I run it, so let's see what happens. Now if I run it, it will throw me a stop iteration. Make sense? So this is how you can stop your iterator to run forever. Okay, so we have understood what is an iterator. We have understood how we can create our own iterator. We need to define two methods, iter and next, and that's how you can go about it. Okay, next we'll talk about something called Python try and except. Okay, so for example, let's see, I have something like, for example, I have a number 10. Okay, and I want to divide it by 0. Let's say I have a number 10 and I want to divide it by 0. So let's see what happens. So see, I got a 0 division error, right? So this how the try catch works. So we can define, so basically we have few things, which is first is try. So try is basically it lets you test a code block. Okay, then we have something called except, which is in case there is an error while you are doing things in the try block, you can capture that error here. Okay, next we have something like else block. Else block is something which will happen when there are no errors. Okay, and the next last we have a block called finally. So what is it? That no matter what happens, either it goes to a try or accept or a else, so this is something, this will run, this will always run, basically this block. Okay, now let's see something. Let's take an example. Okay, let's say if I say something like print x, let's see what happens. Okay, let's just first print this out, sorry, comment this out. If I do something like this, so you see it will throw a name error because we haven't defined it with the x. But if I do something like this, so it will work fine, right? Now let's try to capture it using a try except block. Okay, so let's do something like for x print x. Okay, and we'll create a except block which is just doing print x is not defined. Okay, let's see what happens. Now if I run it, okay, because x, okay, so now if I run it, you see, instead of it throwing a name error, it is now doing this, right? But if I remove it, and I'll just do something like this, so you see it will show me a name error. So this is how you can modify the behavior, right? So this is how the try and the except work. Okay, now what if I want to define multiple exceptions? Okay, so this except is short for exception. Okay, right? So what if for the same I do something like except name error x is not defined, and let's just create something one more except something else went wrong. Okay, so let's see something. It is going giving me this. Now let's do something which is x1 equals to 10, and now let's try to do x1 is divided by 0. So let's see what happens. You see, it went here. But let's say, right, this is how we can define different error structures. Okay, this is how we can go about it. Okay, next we'll talk about the else block, that how we can combine it. Okay, so let's say I'll add a else block here. So let's see if it works or not. So if I do something like this, yeah, it does not work. But let's say I do this. So see, all is good because this try works fine. So if there is no issue with this try block, this else block will render. Okay, now we discuss about something called finally. So let's try to do that as well. Let's say finally we have something called print. This will run regardless. Okay, let's try with, let's say there is no issue with the try block. Let's see what happens. So it will give me something like, it will run this else, and it will run this finally. But let's see if there is an issue with the try block. Let's say I do this. Now what should happen? It should go to the except block, right? And it should go to the finally. Okay, this is how you can work with your try blocks, right? Okay, yeah, basically this is how you can go about it. One question, guys, you must be thinking that why we are using this try except. So sometimes what happen that when you are working, let's say you are working in a bigger project, and there for every exception, it's okay. Sometimes you just want to just log them and move ahead. You don't want to like halt your entire program because of that. So there, these try except blocks come very handy. Okay, yeah. Okay, good. So this is how we can use the try except. Okay, we can also create our own exceptions as well and everything, but let's do those when we are working in the projects. Okay, so right for now, for the concept purpose, I think this much is sufficient. Okay, next we have something called Python modules. Okay, so a module in Python is a file that contains Python code, functions, variable, or classes that can be imported and used in another. Okay, so we have different type of modules. We have some built-in modules, If you remember, we have used somewhere called a sys module. Let's quickly see. Yeah, if you see, when we were discussing about the recursions, we use the sys module. So what is it? It is a built-in module which is already there when you install your Python, and you just need to import it. Okay, and you can use the functions which are there in this module. For example, get recursion limit. But if you try to do something like remove this, and if you try to do something like this, it will throw an error, right? Because this recursion list is defined in this module. Okay, so sorry, so this is how you can, this is how your modules works. Okay, basically. So these are the built-in module that is already there in the Python. Second, we have some user defined modules. So for example, if there is no module, if there is a functionality and there is no uh, built-in module there for it, you can also create your own modules. Okay, so the purpose of creating the modules is so that they are usable, so you don't have to define those functions or variables or the classes again and again. You can just simply create a module and just define it, and you can use it anywhere. Okay, next we have some external modules, so which are like a third party modules. So for example, I want to connect with AWS. AWS is a cloud provider. Okay, if I want to connect with the AWS, so we can use something called a Boto, which is a Python library provided by AWS itself. So this becomes a external module. So we can, how we can use those, we can install it using pip. So pip is a Python manager. Okay, so that's how we can do it. Next, how to import modules, we have already discussed in the above, but we'll talk about it again. Okay, we have some common built-in modules which are mostly used everywhere. We'll talk about how we can create our own module, and we'll discuss some how we can install some external modules, and we'll talk something about called a directory function. Okay, now let's talk about how to create a module. Okay, how we can uh, let's talk about how to use a built-in module. So for example, uh, I have a, okay, we have already talked about how to use a built-in module, but let's do it again. um let's say I have a module called import math. Okay, so now I want to see what functions are available in math. So what I can do, I could just simply something math. Let's see what happens. So you see, it has all these functions available in it. So what that dir function shows, it shows all the functions in the modules, all the functions available inside a module. Okay, so now let's quickly, so you see, by the look of it, we could tell that what would factorial would be, something like that, or something like a pi. So if I do something like print mat.py, so what it should do, it should print me the value of pi, which is 3.14. So this is a defined variable, right? Pi is a variable. Now I want to get the ceiling value, or ceiling value of 10, 10.5, let's say, or 10.6. So I'll do something like, so you see there is a function called ceil, ceil, and I'll just pass, let's say, 4.9. So let's see what happens. So the ceil value should be 11, right? So 10.9 is closer to 11, so the value should be 11. Okay, next we'll talk about how we can, so how we can create our own modules. For example, in my module I just want a function, this, I'll define this function, and I need to create it as a file. Okay, so how to create a file in Collab is you could just add this as a header. Okay, so once you do this, So whatever it is afterwards, it will create it as a file. So let's quickly check it. Okay, is there some error? Is there? Okay, so line function measure not found. How is that? Okay, let's try it somewhere new. Okay, let's try to run it. Okay, yeah, so it works. So basically there were few more things, so that's why it did not work. So you see, so if I go here, and so it will be created somewhere here, right? So if I just, so this is my file basically. Okay, so if I open it, it will show me this, right? Now how to call it? How I can call it is, I can just simply say import whatever the name beside this. So you can just say my module and just call something like this, my module dot greeting. So this is a function which is defined inside it. So once you run it, see, works. This is how you can create a module, you can use a module, right? uh, yeah, okay. So now how you can, so there is something called an alias. Okay, so for example, you don't want to say like my module, you want to say something like, so how you can do an alias? So how we can do it? So simply we'll do something like this, and we will do module as xx. So if I do xx dot greeting, so it will also be same, right? So this is something called an alias, or give it a like a short name or something like that. So this is how you can create your aliases. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Now we'll talk about something import from module. So for example, I have this module, right? But so let's say, so currently in my module, so I only have like one function, right? So what if, let's say, from this math, we have understood that this math has too many functions, right? So what if I just want to import, let's say, ceil function? So how I could do it is, I could say something like import, sorry, I could do something like from math. So this is my module name, right? I could say from math import what I want to import a specific function. For example, let's say import pi, for example. So if I do this, so it will work, right? So this is how you can work with the modules. You can use built-in modules, you can create your own module, you can basically define it as an alias. You could import a specific function or a variable from a module, right? This is how you can do it. Next we'll talk about something called we have, yeah, how we can install a external module. For example, there is a module called Boto. So let's try to import it first. Let's see if it's there or not. See, you got this error, module not found. Now let's try something like pip install Boto. So if when you do this, so it will try to install it, and see, now if you do this, it will work. Okay, something wrong. No module name, boto.vendor.6 modes. Let's try some other module. Okay, let's try with boto 3, for example. I think boto is an old module, and it's possible that some things, it might have some dependency. But let's try with boto 3. Okay, so it's installing. Okay, now run it. See, it works. So this is how you can install your third party modules. Okay, So we have understood what are modules, we have seen the built-in modules, math, we have also created our own module, right? We have seen how to import the external modules using pip, right? So yeah, I think this concludes it. And we have also talked about the dir function. So what it does, it lists all the functions and the attributes of module, right? We have tried doing for the math and it works. Let's try doing it for this new module that we have just imported here, and let's see if it works or not. If I do something like this, so yeah, so it works, right? It will show me all the attributes and the methods available. Okay, so this is how we work with the modules. So these are very important topics as you, like, if you as you start building your own project and they get complex and things like that, so you do need to create modules. Module is a short for modularity. Basically it's a reusable code of block of code which can be reused, right? Okay, so next topic we have is Python datetime. So datetime is a Python module and it is a built-in module. Okay, so you don't need to install it or something. It is already available in Python and you can just simply import it using something like this. Okay, right, it works. Now for example, you want to, so date time, as the name in itself says, right, date time, so it will give you basically the features related to date and times. For example, you want to print the current time, right? So how you can do it is you can just simply call date time dot date time dot now. Okay, so if you run it, it will show you the current time. Okay, now we can, yeah, so this is how you can do it. Now for example, I just want to print the year out of it or something like that. So there are some more functions which are available, something like this. It will show you the year, or if you do something like something like, let's see, if I do something like day, it will show you the day, right? And if I do something like month, so it will show me the month, right? So this is how you can work with the date time. Now we have something called shift time. So a method is called there's a method called strf time and takes one parameter form. So for example, let's try to do something like this. So let's do with this only. So if I do something like dot strf time and I'll do something like, let's say star a, sorry, yeah, so let's see what happens. So this will show me the day. Okay, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so it is Monday. Okay, and what if I do something called let's say small a, so what it will show me, it will show me the day in the short form. For example, it will show me mon, right? So there are more for example, if I want to see the weekday as a number, so I could just mention something like slash w, small w. Okay, so it will show me 0. It should it should show me 1 because 0 1. Okay, and what if I want to see the, let's say, the month, so I could do something like this, so it will show me November. Okay, so these are some methods which are available. You could just go to internet and just simply search for it and you will see, right? Okay, so this is how you can use the datetime module. Okay, next we have is the math module. Okay, we have already talked about this module, so we'll quickly go through it with some common methods that we have. As for example, let's say we know how to import it, and we also know how to check what functions are available. We could use just call directory on top of this math, right? So once I do it, I'll get all the methods, and they are huge, but the most commonly used methods are, okay, so the most commonly used methods are like a max. For example, you want to take the you want to find a minimum or a maximum of a list. So how you can use it is min, like max, math dot max and you can pass your like a string of numbers. So let's say 10, 5, 6, 2, 3. So what it will do, it will print the maximum number. So it should print me 10. Okay, math has, okay, okay, yeah, so you have already imported the math, right? If you say import math as m, now if you do m dot, yeah, I think you can directly do this, right? It works. Now what if I want to do the seal? We have already talked about how we can do the seal, floor, absolute, power, square root, pi, and here in this link you could see all the functions that we can use and how we can use them. So to use it, we just need to call math com dot n comma f. So let's see how we can uh, return the combinations, right? You know about like if you don't know about combination and permutation, so combination is something return the number of ways to choose k items from n list, n from the n from the list of n items without any repetition and without any order. So let's quickly see how we can test it out. So print, so n, this is 5, 4, this it is 2. So if I run it, I'll get 4, 6. And if you want to see the formula behind it, you could just simply see this. Okay, so let's quickly see if it is correct or not for our way. So that's how we can work with it. So n, here we have 4 factorial divided by k factorial. I have like 2 factorial into n. 4 minus 2 is 2 factorial, right? And we'll have something like this. Then if I just simplify it, we'll have 4 factorial divided by 2 into 2, right? Which becomes 3 factorial, because which is equals to 6. So this is correct, right? So this is how you can use the math module. Next is something I have is called a json module. So json module is a hugely used python module, which like whatever, so for example, whenever you have some data and you have like a large amount of data, so we mostly use the json format uh, to store it or to exchange it using an API or something like that. Okay, so JSON is a syntax for storing and exchanging data. So JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Okay, so it is similar to nested dictionary but a little different. Okay, so both JSON and Python dictionary looks very similar, but they are not the same. So JSON is a data format while Python dictionary is a data collection. We have talked about it, right? So So it is a text based Python format used for storing and transferring data, commonly used in APIs, web application and data files, right? Whereas Python dictionary is a built-in Python data structure which stores key value pairs. Okay. Data type difference, mostly it's same but a little bit different, right? So JSON has limited data types, object, array, string, numbers, boolean, nulls, while dictionaries support a huge data types, right? Syntax different, keys must be in double quotes, strings must use double quotes, boolean values true, false, null. But in case of Python, keys can use single or no quotes, right? And strings, they can use single or double quotes. We have talked about it. You'll see a major difference with the boolean values with this. So you see here in JSON, so the true and false both start with small letter, but in Python dictionary they starts with capital. Same uh, for uh, for empty value which is null, in JSON it is defined as null, but in Python it is defined as none with a capital N. Okay. Okay, so this is how we can do. For example, this is an example JSON. So name, Ruhi, age, this, and the same can be defined as a Python dictionary. It will look exactly the same. Okay, now we talked about how we can define nested structure. So nested JSON is just JSON containing objects inside objects. Okay, Python in dictionary, it's a Python dictionary containing other dictionaries, like same similar. Okay, usage difference, it's a little bit different. So JSON, like we talked about, is normally used for data exchange, like in API files, right? Something like that. And Python dictionary, it is an in-memory data representation, right? How we can converse Python in a dictionary? We have like methods like json.load and json.dumps. If I want to convert string to dictionary, I use .load, and if I want to convert it back, I use dump. Okay, now we'll quickly see how we can work with it, right? So here we have a JSON data. Okay, so this is how you can define a multi-line string, right? You see this value is null, so it is a JSON, right? False, true, right? Everything. Now how to convert it into a dictionary? So how we can do it, we have talked about. So we'll do JSON, and we talked about how we can do it. So we'll do something like dictionary data equals to json.data.loads, right? So we'll quickly print it. You see, now it's, if you see it, so you see they have changed, so false, false, and none. And if I see the type, it is showing me ticked, right? What if I want to change it back to JSON, for example? So how I can do it is JSON data equals to dict data dot dump, right? And I'll do something like this, and let's quickly verify it as well. So once I do it, okay, there's some issue. Okay, sorry, I need to, sorry, JSON. Yeah, if I do this, it will work, right? This is how you can, if you see here the difference, so true, small, capital, small, small, capital, right? So this is how we can do the parsing. Okay, we can convert it to Python and things like that. Okay, now one thing I want to talk about is how I can format it. Right now you see this is how it is showing, but what if I want to format it? So how you can do it is while doing the dump, how I can format it. So while doing the dump, you could mention something like indent equals to, let's say I'll say indent equals to 4. So let's quickly see the difference, what will happen. The moment I do this, it will show me this way. You see, I have make the indentation. Okay, now there is one more thing called separator. So let's see how we can work with it. So if I do something, if I mention something like a separator, so let's say I'll do something like comma, let's keep the indent, sorry, let's keep the indented same. Let's add a separator instead of comma. Let's say I want to change it to double equals to. Okay, let's see how it works. Okay, sorry, separators. Okay, let's quickly retry it. Something is wrong. It works. And okay, now okay, so now okay, so you see, instead of colon we have equals to, right? This is how we can go with the separators. Now we have one more thing which is called sort keys. So for example, you want to sort your result in order of the keys, for example. So how you can say, you can do something like plus, there is a method called sort underscore keys equals to true. So if you do this true, so see, they are sorted. Make sense? This is how you can do it, right? Okay, so this is how you can work with sort keys. Next we have another Python module, a very hugely used module, which is called Python regular expressions. Okay, so regex are patterns that used to match, search or manipulate text. You remember we when we were talking about strings, we talked about a function called replace, right? So what it was doing, it was trying to find that particular pattern and then it replaces it, right? So similar, we have like Python regular expressions. So here we have different functions which can be used to identify the patterns, and either you can modify it or you can find it, right? So yeah, so Python provides the RE module. RE is the short for regex. Okay, what we can do, we can search a pattern, we can find all matches. For example, you want to find, there is a string and you want to find the occurrence of, let's say, a particular substring. So you can do it using find and find all. We'll talk about it. Find all will do find all the occurrences of the pattern. Find will find the first occurrence. Okay, next we'll have something called sub. It is replace the mesh text. Splitting, how we talked about splitting earlier, the similar way. Okay, now we have some special patterns. Dot is for any character, this is for start of the string, this, so on, right? And we have some character classes as well. 0 to 9 is digits, A to Z lowercase, uppercase, any character, digit, word, character, space, and so on. Okay, now let's talk about it, how we can perform. Now let's say how we can import it is simply we do import RE and it will import our module. Okay, now let's say I want to, so let's say I have a string called let's say hello world. Okay, now I want to search whether, okay, let me just change it to something called my name is Paul and I work at Costco. Okay, something like that, right? And I want to find uh, whether Costco appears in this string or not. So how I could do it is I could call re.search. So search is a method. Also, if you want to see all the methods that are available, you can, like we talked about, we could okay, something happening. So we could do something like print of directory called re. So once you do it, you will see all the methods that are available. Okay, now let's see, I have a string and I want to search whether, let's say, Costco appears in this or not. So what I could do, I could use re.search and I could mention my substring that I want to search, which is Costco, and then I'll mention my string where I want to search it. So this is how you can call it. So once I do, so see, it mentions that the string, there is a match, but let's say I say something like Costco, so yeah, it will return none. Okay, because there is no match. Okay, this is how you can go about it. Okay, next we have like more methods. For example, let's my name is Paul and I work at Costco. Paul's father is a footballer, for example, and Paul mother is a doctor. Okay, now I want to find uh, I want to find all the occurrences of Paul, for example. So how I could do it is I could call a method called find all. So what it will do, it will find all the occurrences of this string in the parent string. Okay, so if I run it, so it will show me this. So Paul is there 3 times, Paul, Paul and Paul, right? Now we have something like search we already talked about. Now we have something like split. How we discuss split while we were talking about this string, similar way it works here. So if I say something like print re dot split, and I'll do something like this, that I want to split my string whenever the Paul appears. So I'll get something like this, then I'll something like this, so it should divide it into 4, right? My name is this, so my name is Paul. Paul is separated from Paul, and I work with Costco. Paul is separated from Paul, and similar, right? This is how you can do split. Now we'll have one more method called sub. So what it does, it replaces one or whatever matches with a string. For example, I want to replace this Paul with Pauline. So how I could do it is I could simply say something like this. So I want to replace Paul with, let's say, Pauline, and match to find, match to replace with, and the parent string. Okay, now if I run it, I'll have something like this. Okay, this is how it works. Okay, now we have some more matching objects. We have something called like span. So if you remember, like here, so what is this span? If you like, let's change it to name, for example, just to see how this span works. Okay, if I do this, so it's showing me 3, right? So 0 1 2 3. So this is the basically a start and end index. right? This is how the span works. Okay, it returns basically a tuple containing the start and the end position of a match. Okay, so let's see an example how we can like print specifically. For example, let's take this. Okay, let's take this only, and what we'll do, we'll just simply print. Let's say we'll check the occurrence, we'll search for print. So there is a match, right? Where it will, because I'm searching, it will search the first one. Okay, there are 3 poles, but it will return the first one. Okay, now I want to like let's say print only the tuple, like the position of the tuple. So what I could do is I could simply do print. So I can do, yeah, I could do something like this. On this I could call this span method. So what it will do, it will print me the tuple. So 10 slash 15. Okay, next I'll have something like a string. So let's see what happens. Print. Okay, let's see what both do. So string is basically, it will provide you the parent string. Okay, and group, it will provide you the match, which is pole, right? So string is basically the string that is passed to this search function, and the group is the match. Okay, so for example, I will say something like, let's say 1 boolean 1. So let's see what would the group be. So it will throw an object error because the output of this would be none. Let's see. Yeah, so this is how you could. So we have talked about how to create regex and all that. Now let's create our own regex using these special patterns and things like that. Let's say I have this string, I have this email, okay, and I have this string, and my name is Paul, and my email is let's say this. So I want to check, so if I run this, it will work, right? Now I want to, if I do something like this, it will also work. Now for example, I don't know the exact email name, but I know it starts with something and it ends with @gmail.com. So how I could create a regex out of it? So something like this. So it is starting with numbers and letters, right? So how, what I could do is I could choose the character class as the number and the letters. So I could have something like, I'd have something like this. It's created A to Z, capital A to Z, and I'll also allowed some numbers, right? Then what could be the occurrence? They could occur any number of times. So let's see if I have something for that. So it could have one or more, okay, one or more occurrence basically. So I'll add a plus, then I need a dot. After that, same, I could have number, string, or anything, and I'll just copy paste it basically, right? I'll have something like this, and I'll just instead, how many times it could have number or the strings? Any times, 0 to 9 it can have any times, and then it has a dot, and then it could have numbers. You could also write something like this, and it will also work. And I'll have like, this is the common thing basically, right? So let's see how it works. So triangle mud, so you could have any number of times. Let's try writing something like this, plus like any number of time, then you have a dot, right? And then you can have any number of, again, the alphanumeric, and then l to the 8 gmail.com. Let's try if it works or not. So if I just copy paste it here, and let's see. So you see, it works. You know, makes sense. So this is how you could. So yeah, so there is an error, so I just need to add something like this. Can it okay, wait. Yeah, see, it works basically. Okay, so this is how you could work with the regex. Next we'll have something called some couple of topics and then we are done. So for example, we talked about what is Python pip. It is a package manager. For example, I currently, let's say, you remember earlier um, we install this package, right? So it will work, right? Now what if, so how can I check whether, like, what packages are there, what packages are not there, what libraries are there, what are not there? So we could simply do pip list, so it will show me all the libraries available. So what if I want to check whether this, let's see whether this boto 3 is here or not, and I'll do this, so it is here, right? Now what I'll do, I'll try to uninstall it. Basically I'll try to remove it. See, you want to proceed, yes, and see, now it is uninstalled. Now if I see this, it will not show me anything. Yeah, now if I try to rerun it, okay, why is it working? Basically it should throw an error. Okay, let me do this, and now let me try again. See, it is throwing me module not found. Now let's try to reinstall it. So I'll do something, we know how to install it, like pip install boto 3. So for example, you want to install the exact same version that you deleted, so you could do something like equals to assignment equals to this. So the moment I do this, it will install it, and now if I check with pip list, it should show me the package. Now if I try to run it again, it will, yeah, it works, right? So this is how you could work with your package manager. So if you want to see what available packages are there in pip, you could simply do something like this, and here you could see the list of packages. Yeah, you could find the list of packages and what the other things you could do with it here. Okay, next we'll have something called a Python virtual environment. So as the name itself indicates, so a virtual environment in Python is an isolated environment on your computer where you can run and test your Python projects. Basically it provides you an isolated environment. Okay, for example, let's say, okay, so you won't be able to test it here because this collab in itself is a virtual environment. So let me just open a command line. Okay, let's say here, and if I do something like this, it will create me this project, right? Now I'll, how do I enter my the virtual space is I just do source. Okay, once I do this, it will work, right? Now how to exit it, I'll simply do this, it will exit it, and if you want to delete your environment, you could simply do something like this. Now once you do it, so this does not exist. Now let's see something. For example, let's see, I have this boto 3 here or not. So right now I don't have this package here, right? So let's see if I install it inside my let's say I create my virtual environment and I enter it. Now let's try to see whether this exists here or not. should not. So let's try to install it. Okay, 3, and it works, right? Now let's activate it, like deactivate, like exit it. Now let's try to see whether it exists here or not. You see, the boto 3 does not exist here. It only exists in this. So if I like re-enter it, it only exists here in my virtual environment. Okay, so this is how you could create your isolated environment. So basically, if you don't want to install or create some environment for the whole device, you could just create your own virtual environments and you could run your projects. Okay, now how to exit it, we already talked about it. You could simply do like deactivate, and here if you see your project something like this, you could simply remove your virtual environment. Okay, this is how you could do it. Now if I see it right now, it's not there, right? So this is how you could create your own virtual environment. Okay, I think that's all, and I think we have covered a lot of things, and I hope you're with me till now. Now from I think from the next session we will be developing some projects. I think 3 would be enough to like to understand or to actually test your knowledge if you have like understood whatever we have discussed till now or not. So I'll see you in the next session.